konnichiwa. Let's say konnichiwa to Chris Black, who has kindly joined us on our show. We've got a special picture of Chris here, is what we have. So let's pull that up. Konnichiwa.
Morning, guys. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Chris. Let me just adjust your name here, if I may. Let's see. So that it features accordingly. There we go. Hey, Chris, how are you doing?
Really well, really well. Good mood. Friday again. How are you two?
Yeah, well, let's see. There you go, Jack. Here's the 0.0.01% of the happy people in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we need some of that energy from you, Chris.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So let's kick off, Chris. Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it?
So my name's Chris Black. I head up the financial planning team. It's RBC Brewin Dolphin, and we help people with their money, but we do a lot more than that. We help people feel financially secure, feel confident about the future, both for themselves, their families. We've got lots of people in the office in Newcastle, so we're a team of about 350. About 60 of us see clients, and we help people basically from all sorts of walks of life. It's more about the wealth, but we like to think that we make people healthier and happier as well, which I know is your mantra at RBC.
Yeah, healthier, wealthier, and happier is exactly it, Chris. So, I mean, gosh, just to explain how big and how globally connected RBC is, Chris, just tell us a little bit more of the background and a bit of the history of both RBC and Brewin Dolphin, because for me, I think that history and heritage is a really credible offer. Demonstrating who you are.
So in terms of the local business, the Newcastle office of RBC Brewin Dolphin, we were traditionally wise speak stockbrokers. Some of our clients in more advanced age will still refer to us as wise speak. That brand was really well known. It was established in Newcastle in 1903. So from 1903 to kind of early 1990s, where we were very much a traditional stockbroking business for clients. And a big transition really over the last 30 years towards a more modern wealth management business, providing holistic advice to clients, obviously covering pensions, tax planning, a variety of different areas. A really big change occurred in September 2022. So until September 22, we were very much a UK and Ireland business. And in September 2022, we were acquired by the Royal Bank of Canada. So one of the biggest 10 financial institutions globally. Obviously started off in Canada, but has a large footprint in 29 different countries around the globe. And a very well-known brand outside the UK. And given they now own kind of our 30 offices in the UK, increasing in terms of brand presence and brand awareness over the last few years. And what it has brought is some additional things to our toolkit. So before 2022, we weren't able to offer banking products and certain types of credit. And now with our parent company, we're able to help clients with a broader range of needs. So yeah, it's kind of brought benefits to us, size, scale, stability, in an industry which has been consolidating over the last few years, but also bringing some additional benefits to our client in terms of proposition offering.
Brilliant. And Chris, tell us a little bit about you.
So I've been in the Northeast virtually all my life. Before joining Brewin Dolphin in 2017, I spent 10 years with HSBC, and I tended to look after more of the high value and perhaps more complex clients across the Northeast. And that was primarily between Edinburgh and York. Worked with some quite specialist segments there as well. So often worked with professional sports people. I was on the lottery panel, which was really interesting and an eye opener. But since joining Brewin Dolphin in 2017, I've focused a lot more on business owners. And this is a cohort that often require a little bit more support because they're busy day to day, managing their own business activities and interests. And we often think we can add quite a lot of value to those business owners by taking some of the concerns, some of the responsibility for managing finances and financial plans away. So my client specialism, if you like, in my role at Brewin Dolphin is looking after entrepreneurs and business owners and helping them meet their needs.
I mean, I say it brilliant, a bit tongue-in-cheek right here, right now, Chris, because, as business owners, Jaff and I, we're somewhat struggling. We're committed to the country we were born and brought up in. We are English, we're British, we're whatever you want to call us. But it's a quite a challenging time, isn't it? I respect your position's your position, and this isn't a political type of conversation. But equally, I think it's important because a lot of our listeners will be feeling and saying the same type of thing. So why would I come and talk to Chris? To sort of go, Chris, I think I'm worried about what's going on. What type of things could I talk to you about? What value would you bring? And how do you become an investment promotion agent for the UK? Because fundamentally, that's what you could and should be categorized as, couldn't you?
Yeah. So if I think about the client conversations we're having at the moment, and as you say, we have to be completely apolitical in terms of our approach and how we navigate discussions. One of the things that has been a big part of client discussions over the last 6 months plus has been the radical changes in the budget last October. So, impacting business owners, impacting farmers, impacting people who hold pensions. Another big change has been the increase in national insurance, so higher tax burdens on business owners. So people are coming to us and asking how these changes are going to impact their day-to-day financial plans. So a large part of what we're trying to do is translate those legislation changes and put them in the context of how it might impact our clients and how we might be able to assist, to a certain extent, navigate these changes over time. Also, as you can imagine, we've got all the baby boomers. We've got a big cohort of people who are approaching retirement at the moment. And since 2015 and the kind of big changes, the freedoms that were announced, the reforms, people want to think carefully about how they approach retirement. Retirement became a lot more flexible. It's not the cliff edge it was in yesteryear. You've got people who are taking a step back. You've got people who might be transitioning control of the business over time to a management team, to other family members. There's often, it's often not just about the money. It's often about thinking about the family dynamic, how wealth cascades, when's the right time. So there's lots of questions to answer with clients, and what we really like to deliver is peace of mind and confidence and clarity to make people make informed decisions about the future. But similarly, when we think about the purpose of RBC, you talk about connecting, supporting, spotlighting, promotion. Because we're a business who've been entrenched in Newcastle as long as we have, 120 years plus now, we've got a really good support. We've got a really good network of contacts. And what we'll often find when we engage with either new clients or existing clients is that it's kind of the connecting and promoting that we can help with, as well as our core activities of advising on financial plans. So that's one of the key things in terms of supporting businesses in the region, in the Northeast. It's been able to connect and deliver some good benefits to help either individuals or business owners. And I don't want to I think often that's our biggest asset. Our biggest asset isn't, investment management capability or ability to structure wealth and make financial plans work. It's kind of the ability to connect really effectively to help business owners along their journey or help individuals through their life stages.
I think, and I'm trying to be comprehensive response, Chris. I was like, and I think, no, as in it's good because I'm like sort of digesting that, and I think you're absolutely right. It isn't just a case of, what am I doing with my money, or what am I doing for future, or how am I, what am I going to do with the business, and is there management buyers and things like that. But if I was to just try and unpick that, if I can, please, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and see if we can get. I'd love because I know what value you bring, right? I know that. There's no question about that. I'm trying to, I suppose, convey that across in a way whereby, like, okay, Jaff's thinking about staying here or going to Dubai, right?
Yeah.
Because as you've mentioned, right, national insurance contributions, all of the, tax, right? Fundamentally, all of the tax challenges have made this country the least attractive, one of the least attractive in the world. That's not an exaggeration. And why is that? It's because of the dramatic tax changes. In other countries, there's been a percentage rise. There's and corporation tax and inheritance tax is horrific in a lot of European countries. But that's always been the case, and it's always been a slight increase. Sadly, what's happened with all of the tax policies in the last 12 months, they have caused such a significant change and potential impact on everyone. So it wasn't just I'm an employee. Okay, well now I need to make more national insurance contributions myself, right? As in, there's an aspect of that. Yes, my tax and my pensions and all of these things, right? And I'm sat there going, oh my gosh, I feel as if I should be better off, or I feel as if all of this money that I've put into pensions, all of this money that I was led to believe has and was protected in the not too distant future, I'm going to be really worried about that, aren't I?
So I don't want to argue against Jaff going out to Dubai because I really like Dubai, and it's a great destination. We'll approach this a different way. So obviously there have been, and we all know people who've to avoid being long-term residents and trying to escape the inheritance tax legislation in the UK. There has been, as you'll know, some exits, especially before the end of the 24-25 tax year. But where we've had clients who are kind of contemplating future residency plans, one of the things we've done is we've sat down and said, well, let's think about pension legislation. Let's think about ISAs. Let's think about the annual capital gains tax exemption. Let's think about the dividend allowance. And actually, before the budget, it didn't get a lot of airplay in the budget, but just before the budget, there was an announcement that the venture capital schemes in the UK were being extended for 10 years. And they're actually some of the most generous in Europe. So the incentives for investors to commit capital to smaller businesses through the things like the seed enterprise investment scheme, and venture capital trusts, it was announced that they were being extended, which is good incentives for investors to commit capital to small UK SMEs. So when somebody's thinking about changing their residency plans or escaping the UK, we do highlight there's all these different incentives, allowances, exemptions, which can help you in terms of how you structure your wealth. Also, sorry, Jaff?
No, go on, Chris. Finish up what you said. I've got a quick.
You've got a quick question. Yeah, and also, the legislation we have at the moment was announced by a Labour government in October last year. The UK public finances could be in a different position at a later date. We could have a change of government. We could have a change of policy. So we work with the legislation as it sits in the moment. But, having been in this industry for nearly 20 years and seen the vast number of changes there's been in terms of pension legislation, would be naive to think that the legislation in place at the moment will be there permanently.
But my question is, in your experience for over the last 20 years, right? The presumption is that things have. Is it a constant where things just get more and more and more difficult for each and one of us in terms of the taxation that we're hit with? That's a standard acceptance. Is that correct?
It's been a trend over the last few years that we feel more personal taxation, and that's actually right, because even if we ignore any major legislation changes, if the personal allowance, if the basic rate tax band, if the dividend allowance, if they don't change over time and they don't increase in line with inflation, we suffer a concept called fiscal drag, which means that as people are earning more of earnings fall into higher rate tax brackets, additional rate tax brackets, the earnings level where there's phasing of the personal allowance. So you're right in assuming that we are paying more tax than we have, even pre-COVID. So that's right to assume.
Okay. So my other question is, when you said you said something about venture capitalists and they've incentivized something.
Yeah.
So I'm presuming venture capitalists are very, very big organizations, primarily investment companies or banks that have huge amounts of money. Is that
no, not necessarily. So I mean,
okay.
you might know some of the organizations in the Northeast. There's things like Angel Investor Syndicate. I sit on the kind of regional board of a project called the Lifted Project, which I'm as aware of, and that's kind of bringing individuals into investment in smaller businesses and supporting female entrepreneurialism in that scenario. But there are these exemptions and allowances beyond the standard ISA allowance and pensions allowance that are allowing some people to, invest and receive some tax reliefs. So, and I don't think that's always, I always think the people mention, my pension's going to get more tax. The ISA allowance hasn't gone up. There's speculation the ISA allowance might come down. There's just more tax to pay. But yeah, there are schemes, and there has been an extension to existing schemes which allow people to invest tax efficiently, albeit they're not for everybody. And there's obviously a high degree of risk when you talk about small UK businesses that in general will serve more of a domestic market.
Interesting.
Well,
so
the point being, Jeff, right? Even these type of tips that Chris has, and there's a caveat, right? There's always a caveat, and Chris, kindly points out the caveat. This is just generic information. If you want a tailored bit of financial regulated support, then pick that conversation up with Chris and the team at RBC Brewin Dolphin. But there's a whole range of things that you can and should be considering, right? So it's brilliant to have Chris on. And it's not just about people with lots of money. In fact, most of the time, it's about people just getting a bit more efficient, effective, doing a bit of planning. As they say, a minute in planning saves 10 in doing. And sadly, having experienced challenges with both my late mother's and my late father's estate, that 10, 12 years down the line, we're still sort of, trying to, what's happened here? It's almost a case of, have those conversations up front, be clear on what your ambitions are. So what would you like to do? Would you like to be comfortable now and then worry about the future? Or would you like to be, comfortable in the future and worry now, whatever that your ambitions are, and then go and talk to Chris, and in particular Chris, if you're a business owner. So Jeff, if I was you, I'd be sat there, and I appreciate you decorating at the minute. Apparently that's a really cool T-shirt, Chris. It's a super thing, and I'm just like, you don't stare at him like that.
Looks nice.
The point being, from a Jaff perspective, right? Chris, just briefly, no, because if Jaff's got some money in his business, right? He could and should be investing that money.
Perhaps, I mean, there's a few different things to think about. Is that profits that should be extracted from the business? Perhaps that comes through a pension contribution. Is there cash that needs to sit on his balance sheet for a period of time? Perhaps that can be invested and get a bit of a better return. Maybe look at the cash balances and can they be getting a bit of better interest? I mean, there's always lots of things to think about. And one of the things I like to always, we've kind of focused a little bit on investment in tax there. But one of the things I would like to focus on is we use financial models and cash flow forecasts and really cool spreadsheets a lot where we are. And that helps you what we call rehearse the future. So it might be that the best thing you can do is just save some money on a few things. You know, we look at somebody's incomings and outgoings. It might be that they're just committing too much expenditure to things that might be wasteful or surplus to requirements. And actually the impact of reducing some of that maybe expenditure and committing capital to maybe some pension contributions or long-term savings over the longer term, when investments or interest rates can compound over time, it just has a really positive impact on future financial security or things that can be afforded for children and grandchildren. So yeah, don't underestimate the impact of just looking carefully at your, family balance sheet or your family P&L, your incomes and outgoings, and just, been paying that a long time and don't take much advantage of it. Maybe I can, economize and commit that towards my financial future.
So anyway, I think there's a visit down to Kai or Dabawal or Dude in the pipeline somewhere there, Chris, is what there is. I mean, more critically, because we've only got a couple of minutes left, and more relevantly, Chris, you're the headline sponsor this year of the most fun and exciting awards ceremony. They're brilliant, and thank you ever so much for your support. But look, we've talked about finance, but there's far more, as you say, the RBC Brewin Dolphin. You're an amazing, social contributor. You support a variety of causes, a whole host of organisations. Just touch upon that a little bit.
Whole host of things. So obviously ABC is my favourite event initiative. So not-for-profit social enterprise that we support because it's such a fun night. We love the group. We engage with it very frequently. We love the curry nights. But beyond ABC, we're involved with supporting female entrepreneurialism. So I personally sit on the Newcastle board of the Lifted project, and there's some really good headway there. That's expanded a national footprint. So the team there are doing fabulously well. We are the headline sponsor of the charity awards, which is really, really important to us, and we've done that for a number of years now. It's gone from strength to strength, very well attended events. We're looking at launching a founders club to help some of our business owners who have challenges. We've obviously got a lot of clients and connections who've got the answer, they've been there, done that. So we're looking to bring business owners in who've got some challenges, who can tap a bit like the board you can't afford. We've already got them. They're going to be in a seat, come in and have a chat. We'll share some knowledge, Chatham House rules. That's going to be quite good. We're doing lots of careers fairs to help young people. I sometimes think wealth management is not as exciting as maybe tech and AI. So we're getting out there into colleges, into schools, and trying to talk up wealth management and financial services careers a bit more. We're doing lots in LGBTQ. So we've got some diversity role models in the office. So we're going out with schools, telling stories. And there's a whole host of other things. I'm out of breath.
No, good. Right. We're out of time as well. But and Jamie's kindly stuck Spice FM in the waiting room so that you didn't get interrupted. Chris, if someone wants to reach out, how do they do it? If they want to learn more and take up your wonderful offer?
Chris Black on LinkedIn. They can get in touch with me. They can get in touch with you, Amar. I'm sure you'd be kind enough to share my phone number and email address. Love to engage with new people, love to help. Generally starts with a casual conversation in a coffee chat. So more than happy to speak to anybody who thinks I can assist.
And one of the things, just one of the final things, is we'll be organising ABC a roundtable with Chris and Co for business owners, Jaff. So a bit like the Founders Club. I think there'll be a round table lunch or dinner that we're organising in the coming month, and probably have it up at Airview so that we can have that Chatham House rules. We've got the business owners for ABC, and looking forward to utilising some more of that experience and expertise. Anyway, you've been listening to Amar and
Jaff.
We'll be back next week. Thanks ever so much, Chris. All the best.
Great to catch up. Cheers, guys.
You too.
Bye.